we're joined now by the Foreign Secretary Liz Truss. Minister, lovely to have you in the studio this morning.
Good morning.
Let us start then with Rwanda. As things stand at the moment, and of course there was a significant legal victory at the High Court and the Court of Appeal yesterday for the government. How many people are we expecting to send to Rwanda later today?
Well, we are expecting to send the flight later today. I can't say exactly how many people will be on the flight, but the really important thing is that we establish the principle and we start to break the model, the business model of these appalling people traffickers who are trading in misery. That is why we're doing this policy, and that's why it's important that we get the flight out today.
You might not be able to put a specific number on it, but it is pretty clear that the number who will be on that flight, if anyone is on that flight, will be significantly less than you had intended. That's fair to say, isn't it?
The important thing is that we get the flight out, we establish the principle, and we start demonstrating to people that this business model of trafficking people into the United Kingdom, risking their lives in the English Channel, simply doesn't work. And it's important we get the flight out. We don't know exactly how many people will be on that flight, but they will go on future flights.
And I understand completely your desire to avoid putting a figure on when things may well be fluid throughout the day. But is it possible that this plane will take off with no one on it?
There will be people on the flight, and if they're not on this flight, they will be on the next flight, because we are determined to break the model of the appalling people traffickers and sort this issue out, which has caused untold misery, including people dying in the English Channel.
Completely, and there will be people watching this that understand that, but there will also be people who are concerned about the costs of sending people to Rwanda. Can we put a figure on how much today's flight will be costing?
I can't put a figure on that, but what we have to look at is the cost of illegal immigration, the cost to the United Kingdom, the cost to the individuals and their families who are suffering from the actions of these people traffickers. That's the issue that we are seeking to deal with by putting in place this route to Rwanda. And it's very important we get that route going. We show that people trafficking doesn't work, and we're able to reduce the costs over time of illegal immigration into the United Kingdom.
Completely get that point, but there are reports this morning that suggest because of the legal action in which you weren't successful at both the High Court, there could be as few as 7 people on that flight today. Is that accurate?
Well, as I say, I don't have a figure. The important point is the principle. That we are establishing the routes
the cost and the practicalities are also important, Foreign Secretary.
Going to Rwanda. If they're not on this flight, they will be on the next flight. We want to break the model of the people traffickers.
Yeah, you've said that.
We want to stop these costs, both in monetary costs, but also in human misery that these illegal immigration routes are causing.
So you think it's value for money, no matter what it costs?
It is value for money.
What is the legal situation then of people who are refused asylum in this country, popped on a plane, sent to Rwanda and granted asylum there? Would they be able to re-enter the United Kingdom?
They will be permanently located in Rwanda, and that is the agreement that we have with the Rwandan government. I think it's important to note that this is an agreement with Rwanda, also about helping Rwanda develop their economy, helping people live locally in Rwanda.
Sure, but if they're successful in their asylum claim in Rwanda, it does suggest that we might have got it wrong at this end.
Look, the important thing is that we are establishing the principle that people are being relocated to Rwanda and settled in Rwanda.
Other people would say that it is equally as important that as a forward-thinking nation, we act with moral integrity in all of this. I just want to, you'll have seen the comments of the Church of England, but for viewers who have not, I just need to show them this. The Church of England has written a letter to say that this in essence shames Britain. Can we bring that up, please, Alan? I think we should have it for the screen. Yeah. Whether or not the first deportation flight leaves Britain today for Rwanda, this policy should shame us as a nation. This is the Church of England saying this. It continues. I hope. Yeah, the shame is our own, because our Christian heritage should inspire us to treat asylum seekers with compassion, fairness and justice as we have for centuries. This immoral policy shames Britain. Again, the Church of England, which as far as I'm aware is not some den of neo-Marxism, is accusing this government of immorality.
I don't agree with that. The people who are immoral in this case are the people traffickers trading on human misery. And that is
no one is denying that the people traffickers are immoral. They're just simply saying that this is not the solution to the problem.
Those people, Neil, need to suggest an alternative policy that will work to deal with these illegal people traffickers.
So explain the logic of that to me, that someone else has to come up with a better idea than yours for your idea to be ruled out as immoral.
What I'm saying is our policy is completely legal. It's completely moral. We are housing people in a safe country in Rwanda. And what I'm saying to the critics of the policy who don't have an alternative about how we deal with this illegal migration is they don't have an alternative. They're criticising our policy, which is effective and does work.
When a significant majority of those passing over the channel are successful in their asylum claims, what on earth is the rationale for this?
The rationale is that we have a migration partnership with Rwanda. It's about helping develop Rwanda. It's about stopping these illegal routes and people acting in a way that endangers human life. That is the logic of the policy.
Let's turn our attention to Northern Ireland and, of course, the protocol. Big discussion ongoing. You were hitting the phone yesterday morning, Sefcovic, and, of course, across the Irish Sea as well. Just explain, if you can, in simple terms to our viewers, exactly what is wrong with the Northern Ireland protocol that your government negotiated, signed, ratified.
What has happened is the Northern Ireland protocol and the impact of it has undermined the Belfast Good Friday Agreement. So we're seeing people in Northern Ireland not able to access the same goods as people in Great Britain. We're seeing customs costs of trading goods across the Irish Sea. We're seeing people not able to benefit from the same tax breaks as people in GB. So when the Chancellor at the Spring Statement gave a VAT cut on solar panels, that wasn't available in Northern Ireland. So people in Northern Ireland, particularly in the unionist community, are feeling that they are less connected to Great Britain and that they are not benefiting from being part of the United Kingdom. And that is a problem that we need to deal with. It has been going on now for 18 months. We've had 18 months of negotiations. We haven't got anywhere. The EU have said that they're unwilling to change the protocol. Therefore, we have to act to make sure we restore the primacy of the Belfast Good Friday Agreement.
This is all why, in the kind of the legal paper that you published yesterday, you set out your use of the doctrine of necessity to justify, in essence, going back on your international agreement with the European Union. Just explain exactly where the grave and immediate peril that you are required to demonstrate to use the doctrine, where that grave and immediate peril exists. To my mind, I'm not sure that, having to fill in forms to send sausages to Belfast counts as grave and immediate peril.
I think we all remember how hard-won peace and political stability was in Northern Ireland, and the importance of the Belfast Good Friday Agreement in establishing both the successful North-South relationships, North-South trade and North-South communities, but also the East-West relationships.
Sure. I suggest that there are people who know a lot more about the Troubles than you and I, and they would, if they could, be sitting in Stormont at the moment. A majority of MLAs disagree with the action that you're taking. They don't see grave and immediate peril in front of them. I'm not sure invoking the Troubles right now is helping your argument.
What the Belfast Good Friday Agreement is based on is the principle of parity of esteem of both communities in Northern Ireland. And you did mention the MLAs, but those weren't MLAs from the unionist community. And the point is we need the consent of both communities in Northern Ireland. We need both communities to be treated fairly and equally. And that's what we're doing through our Northern Ireland Protocol legislation. I will be clear, Neil, that we would rather have a negotiated agreement with the EU. And this is what I said to the EU yesterday. What we need is changes to the protocol that are causing real problems in Northern Ireland, raising costs, but also making people feel like they're not part of the...
Why haven't you not negotiated with the European Union formally since February, then?
I have been in talks with the European Union in February, in March. We've had 18 months of talks
no formal
altogether.
Negotiations. You're not telling me that formal negotiations did take place.
The fundamental point is that the EU won't change the text of the protocol, and it's the text of the protocol that's causing problems. Those are...
Again, completely agree with you.
So it's difficult to negotiate with somebody who won't change the thing that you want to negotiate. That's the issue.
What consequences in Northern Ireland that you are complaining about right now were not predicted before we ratified this?
Well, there have been unintended consequences, and what we've seen over time, Neil, is things gradually getting worse in Northern Ireland.
The impact assessment
and what I cannot allow
said the protocol and the declarations you were going to sign up to would involve the checks that you now complain about, that it would be highly disruptive to the Northern Ireland economy that you're now complaining about. All the problems that you now identify with the Northern Protocol were obvious to people on both sides of the Irish Sea before you signed it. So this grave and immediate peril that you need to have to invoke the doctrine, it's just not there. You were being warned about it 3 years ago.
What we have seen is the situation gradually getting worse. We haven't seen the executive in Northern Ireland established since February. We've seen the trading situation get worse, diversion towards north-south, away from east-west. And this is why we need to act. This is why we cannot allow the situation to drift, and we cannot allow the Belfast Good Friday Agreement to be further undermined. That's why the government's determined to act, and we're doing so in a reasonable way. We're not changing...
Well, the European Union,
we're not
and particularly
changing,
Ireland, would say no to that.
We're not changing the whole protocol, Neil. We're changing the bits
but the idea
that are causing a real...
bad is just it's beyond the pale. I mean, in your command paper of the middle of last year, Lord Frost was talking actively about triggering Article 60. Indeed, let's talk about that. Why are we unilaterally changing our position on the protocol rather than using the mechanism contained within it for precisely moments like this?
Well, the issue with Article 16 and triggering Article 16 is all it would do is put the situation back to what it is now, because we haven't fully implemented the protocol. We've only implemented part of the protocol. We have a standstill arrangement at the moment. And in order to fix the problems which are generating the issues in Northern Ireland, the customs across the Irish Sea, the requirement for customs codes, the tax differences for the people of Northern Ireland from the people of Great Britain, we need to deal with the protocol itself. So Article 16 and triggering it simply wouldn't have delivered the solution we need to fix the problems in Northern Ireland. And this is what I'm saying to the EU. I want to negotiate with the EU, but they have to be willing to change the text of the protocol.
Again, you suggest that things are getting worse, but all of the problems that have been identified right now in Northern Ireland were identified prior to the ratification of the Northern Ireland Protocol. I mean, isn't the simple truth that you all knew it was a bad deal when you signed up to it, but you needed to get Brexit done? You got Brexit done, and you intended, as you are currently doing, wriggling out of it in the way that you are.
We are addressing very, very serious issues in Northern Ireland that have emerged over the past 2 years.
Which bits have emerged? Honestly, tell me at least
they
that.
have caused problems of political instability, as we can see from the fact the executive hasn't formed. They've caused economic and trade problems in Northern Ireland.
Just performing
but
better than the UK economy on average.
The solution we're putting forward doesn't make the EU any worse off. It protects the EU single market at the same time as fixing these problems in Northern Ireland. So we are working on a practical solution that works for everybody. Yes, we want to persuade the EU to negotiate with us to change the protocol to achieve that, but we cannot allow this situation in Northern Ireland to drift. That is where we are now, which is what I'm focused on, having responsibility for the protocol.
I completely understand. And whilst we have you, Minister, and it is away from your brief, and I understand this, but it is the anniversary of the Grenfell Tower fire. 72 people lost their lives. This government promised that people would no longer live in unsafe buildings like that. They also promised that people would not have to put their hands in their pockets to rectify the cladding. Neither of those things have happened. And as of this morning, there will be people waking up to this conversation living in unsafe buildings, the likes of Grenfell Tower. What is this government going to do about it?
I mean, I think we all have huge sympathy with the people caught in that appalling tragedy, and it was horrific. I think we all remember how horrific it was. We have been able to rehouse, I think, 98% of people who were living in Grenfell. I think everybody's been offered alternative accommodation. We are supporting those, particularly those who live in buildings of more than 11 stories to make sure that they or 11 metres, sorry, to make sure that they are not having to put their hands in the pockets to pay for cladding. And I know that my colleague, the Housing Secretary, is doing work with the building industry to tackle these very, very serious issues of fire safety, of building regulation. But I think we just all remember how utterly appalling that tragedy was.
We certainly do. Liz Truss, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you.